welcome to the next podcast. I have a special guest today, Adam Aiken, former Michigan Wolverine, CEO and inventor of Caerus Strength. What's going on, Adam?
Hey, how you doing, James?
Man, nice. Thanks for coming on today. Thanks for spending some time with us. Appreciate having you on.
Appreciate you asking me. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Man, definitely. We can go into a video of Adam and the Caerus Strength.
I spent half of my life as a championship level athlete. In high school, I won a state championship in wrestling and football, as well as earned All-American honors. In college, I was part of several Big Ten championship teams, as well as the 1997 national championship team. The 20 years after athletics were challenging in many ways. The Caerus Strength trainer was built out of necessity during the COVID pandemic. 6 months into quarantine, I had fallen into the worst shape of my life and could not see a way forward. The food choices were very limited and poor. This did not have a positive effect on my health. My now partner, Carl Fink, and I were discussing the concept of elite aging. During the conversation, Carl made the comment, "I've never been in better shape." When I asked him how that was possible, he told me that now that he no longer commutes, he spends an hour in the morning doing cardio and an hour in the evening strength training. That took away my excuses and put me on my health journey. Over the next 11 months, I lost 150 pounds and put on 20 pounds of muscle. I dropped my A1C from a 9.3 down to a 5.3, and my blood pressure from a 143 over 100 to 112 over 66. I had completely transformed. During the process, Carl and I discussed sarcopenia, a muscle strength disease that affects a majority of the population as we age. Every book I read about the disease and the reversal showed pictures of people pulling things that were off screen. During my journey, I wore weighted vests, carried dumbbells, as well as lifted weights, all of which were bulky and had limited function. I knew there had to be a better way. That is when I came up with the Caerus Strength trainer. By using the body as the anchor of the system, it allows people to train in any position, including in wheelchairs and hospital beds. It also allows for a completely new form of exercise and can be useful to people of all ages. Because my daughter was born with spastic quadriplegic cerebral palsy with microcephaly, she will always be in a wheelchair. Because of that, I look at life through an inclusivity lens. That is why the design allows people with various disabilities, including amputees, to access quality strength and cardio training. The mission of our company is to change people's lives. And that is how the Caerus Strength trainer was born.
Yeah.
So there you go, man. Long journey.
Amazing product, man. Amazing product. I like it.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it was.
So, Adam, I know. Tell me a little bit about your background, Adam.
So yeah, growing up, I was always into athletics. I was part of championship teams, regardless if it was. I was a state champion wrestler in high school at heavyweight, the second state championship wrestler of my high school, in my entire high school, and then I also won a state championship in football. And then I went to college, obviously, University of Michigan. We won a national championship my freshman year.
Unfortunate.
And then we won a few Big Ten championships while I was there. Specifically remember in 97 when we beat Penn State, ranked number 2. We were number 4. They called it Judgment Day, and we beat you at Happy Valley. But nonetheless, no, we won several championships. After football, I boxed for a while. I was undefeated until I broke my hand. And then I lost my purpose. Like a lot of athletes out there, you know, once you lose that, and that's what you've been doing your whole life, and that was your whole focus, a lot of people fall into depression. They don't know what to do. I was no different. It hit me really hard. There were mental health aspects that I was dealing with. Then I got married, had my first child who has special needs. We almost lost her at birth. So that was, again, life-changing and kind of put everything through a different lens. So when we talk about the product, just life in general, I look at things through an inclusivity lens, trying to make sure that anybody can, the more people I can get involved, the more people I can help, the better it is. But over that 20 years, my health and conditioning went down the tubes. I put myself in the back seat. And then, like I said, during the pandemic, just my son wasn't feeling well. And I talked to who's now my partner, and he kind of motivated me. And at that point in time, it's like, you know what, there's no excuse. And got back into my championship body, really found a purpose because before I even invented this, we were just going to help people get in shape, really reverse a lot of these health conditions, and come up with elite aging. Because people think as you get older, you have to get weak, you're going to fall apart. So we were really going to build a company around that. And it was in my journey that as I was thinking about things, and there was only 3 books out about sarcopenia, what could I make that would be more efficient for people that they could do it in a wheelchair, or the top level athletes can do it? And literally pulled out the pen and paper, started writing it down. And from that moment forward, 18 months, we're launching this product in a major way in multiple vertical markets, and set up to change the world. And it's truly our mission is to change people's lives. It comes from a place of, that's where our passion is. And so we're looking to help as many people as we can.
When you say sarcopenia, explain what that is.
Yeah, so sarcopenia is Latin for poverty of flesh. But what it is, at age 30, people typically lose at 1% of their muscle strength per year. And as you get into your 60s, it's between 3 and 5%. What's even scarier is when you hit 60 years old, you typically lose 1 pound of muscle and gain 2 pounds of fat per year. So after 10 years, the body goes through obviously a hard time, and it puts you in a bad place. But sarcopenia, and the less we have to do for ourselves, the more technology does, the less we're moving, the more muscle strength we lose and muscle mass that we lose over time. And so sarcopenia is infused with all musculoskeletal diseases, whether it be COPD, Parkinson's disease. If it has to do with muscles, if your muscles are weak, it causes that condition to be exponentially tougher on the body. But the one beautiful thing that we found out is that sarcopenia is reversible. You can reverse it when you're 80 years old. And really, your body is never too old to gain strength. And so once we knew that it was reversible, I wanted to come up with a way for people to get resistance training and be able to get a true workout anywhere they're at without having to sit in one place in front of a mirror or having to be hanging from a tree branch. With my system, they can do it anywhere they want. They can strength train in motion. We've invented a new way of exercising, but ultimately wanted to bring the solution to the person and allow them to be able to access things in a whole new way. And so we've created this strengthening system, full body. You can do all major muscle groups with this. We even have part of our invention that we'll have that can strengthen the neck, front and back, sleeves for amputees, things of that nature. But sarcopenia is reversible, and that is our goal. In the next 10 years, 500 million people globally will be diagnosed with sarcopenia. And so it's an epidemic. It's going to be something that we're dealing with. And now we truly have a solution that we can help people across the world reverse.
Right. So get into how did you come about designing? How did you design the vest? How did you come up with the concept with the bands? Talk about that a little bit.
So for being an athlete, when I was looking at things that were out there in the books, everybody was pulling something, either a machine in front of them, or there was a resistant band that they were pulling that was off the picture, which is typically in a door. It was a naked rubber band, which they're dangerous to say the least, because that's how people put an eye out. But everything was either stationary or had people pulling things off. Not everybody can get to a gym. So all the pictures with people that are at a gym, some people can't get there. Some people can't afford it. And if you have a disability and you're in a wheelchair, it could cost you $200 for transportation just to get to and from the gym one time. So it's not truly accessible to people. And so there's a whole population that the literature that was out there was missing. And so with my athletic background, I came home and I was thinking, and my wife will remember, I'm sitting there on the couch and I pull out the pen, paper, I start drawing something, and I grab imaginary handles. And I'm like, okay, well, if my rotator cuff is injured, I grab my hip and I start doing the rotation, was like, well, what if I had something I could just grab at my hip? And so I wrote down at a connection point, and then I slid my hands up into handles that didn't exist. And I'm like, well, if I can do it from here, I can do a bench press. I can do a decline press. I can do a tricep press. And so I started going through obviously I've been an athlete, the different strength moves that you're going to do in a gym. And I started putting down all these connection points, and I came up with a thigh strap, which now will be upgraded to a knee sleeve, which we have here, which will be able to be worn, and you can do a lot more functional things with it, as well as I've got a cuff for amputees, people with rheumatoid arthritis, or for athletics. So this is going to be huge in the athletic market. Sorry, this way, because you'll be able to go hands free and have resistant motion in all planes of motion. But yeah, so I started coming up with the different pulleys, and then my wife's like, "How do you know that they can make anything that stretches that way?" And I didn't, but I had all the faith in the world that we could figure this out. I said, "It's rubber. It's got to be feasible." Well, lo and behold, I reached out to every band manufacturer, people that have been doing it for 25 years, and not one person has ever made a functional band that had less than 10 inches of rubber on it, because nobody ever had a solution like ours. And so part of the beauty of what we have with the shorter resistant bands is it gives you a full range of motion and allows you to get all the way out. And I've got some underneath here like to show if I was doing a boxing motion, but using the body as the anchor and you're lifting, it truly gives that full range of motion experience. Well, it took us 12 months to figure out how to get the band to have enough rubber to actually connect it with the right carabiners to allow that stretch. And then every single band has a safety sleeve on it. So it took a lot of innovation, but off the bat, I just knew it would work. I knew that at this point in my thought pattern, it wasn't if it was going to work, it was how it was going to work. And I was going to come up with a way to do it. And literally I'm selling, I would selling the idea and the concept before we had even figured out the band, because I was that sure. And all the other ones worked, but it was that short one. But that's how we came up with it. And we persevered. And now we have the shortest functional resistant band being used in the market.
So I see this going quite a bit of ways, right? I obviously play sports, and for the last 12 years, I've been in the medical space and working with neuro orthopedic spine surgeons in the DC area. So I see a need for it in the medical side, rehabilitation, and I see a need for it as in athletics as well. So talk about as far as the different industries.
Yeah.
Um,
So there again, one beautiful thing about the product and looking at things through the inclusivity lens is that we have this strength trainer that is available in youth sizes, which will be coming to the website really soon. But we have them made in women's extra small through 5X and men's extra small through 5X. And we have the ability to go bigger, and we can even go smaller if we need to. But we want to make sure that the fit is proper, but that it can really encompass every body shape and size. And so with that in mind, when you look at, we'll start in the medical space, as you had mentioned, we're looking at everything from physical therapy practices, some as large as 600 facilities, as they can see that using this inpatient use, as well as being able to send patients home with this and be able to have a quality remote patient monitoring, a telehealth visit, where they're still having a quality session with their patients and being able to provide high quality service, which if you've ever seen a remote therapy session with most people, it's all over the map because people have different tools. They don't have things. They're running on and off the screen. And with this, they can come up with a consistent plan. And again, depending on what the injury is, it can be very specific to certain body parts for rehabilitation. But so that's one section in the medical market. But then you're looking at everything from pre-surgery, post-surgery, post-chemo. So people that go through chemotherapy, they are immune compromised when they come out. And the number one thing to help them recover is exercise. But the last thing somebody wants to do who's immune compromised is go to a gym and get on machines that guys are, people don't wipe off. They're sweaty. And if they do, it's kind of a, half-hearted effort if you want. And again, so it puts a barrier between them and being able to get healthier quicker. And so there's that aspect of it. We have this machine, or I'll say machine, this system is the only thing in the market that we know that can help with the get up and go test. The get up and go test is the gold standard when you're looking at if somebody is a fall risk. And it literally, it's how long does it take somebody to stand up and walk? I think it's 10 meters. And so typically when people, at least as we experience, as people come out of the hospital, and let's say we're talking about a senior, a lot of times they'll go into a physical therapy rehab center. Well, Medicare money only covers typically 3 weeks. And it's either you run out of Medicare money, and if you don't have other money, they discharge you regardless of where you're at, or you're not rehabbing quick enough and they discharge you because they need the bed for somebody that they can make a difference. Well, the biggest cost in the medical market is rehospitalization. And the way that we see it is if patients are discharged with our system and they're using it and taught and introduced in the hospital with this, because again, it can be used while they're in the hospital bed before they get into a wheelchair, and it can help them get out of that wheelchair a lot quicker. But if they start in the hospital and they get comfortable using it, then they go to that rehab facility and they're training for at least 3 weeks with a physical therapist with the same piece of equipment that travels with them. Now, when they go home, and again, a lot of our next version in the next 2 months will also have remote monitoring, so it'll have sensors in it. So if they're going home and knowing that they have sensors, so the doctors knowing that they're complying with the exercises, but they have the tool that they've been given all the way through, they're less likely to go home and the very first sign of anything run back to the hospital. Hospitals have to pay for every dime, cannot charge insurance companies if a patient gets readmitted for this exact same diagnosis within 30 days of discharge. So if they come in for 2 days, they get put into rehab, they come back, and now they come back with the same issue and they're in there for 6 months, the hospital has to eat that cost. And so this can help from the hospital side, but really the patient side, giving them hope and letting them know that regardless if they're in that facility, when they get home, that they can get back to full strength and get back to living a normal life, as opposed to the feeling now where they feel hopeless and that if they couldn't be helped in a facility, how can they do anything on their own?
Correct. And when you look at, medical use, right? Like you said Medicaid, having medical codes, because that's going to be the first thing. If you've been in the medical space for a while, the first thing doctors are going to ask you if it's is approved. Do you have codes? When you look at, especially rehab, right? And just the old concept of using bands. When you start talking to like rehab facilities and PTs, when they start to do the comparisons and say this is no different than bands, what would you say to that?
I would say it is a band, but what the difference is your body being the anchor allows that patient to feel again, they're the center of gravity. They can do it on their own. There is nothing that is built like this that has the functionality. And the only similar thing that has limited function takes two people in a rehab facility and only works like two or three muscles. So it's not the band, it's the tool, and it's what you do with the tool and the access points, and really having the different strength bands at the different lengths allows you to add as much tension as you need and as little as 5 pounds. In the legs, you can go up to 400 pounds banded weight. So it literally can go across the spectrum. But as far as bands, there are multiple studies showing that band exercises are as good as lifting free weights. So, I mean, a lot of people were against banded resistant workouts. Well, now there's plenty of studies out there showing that the effectiveness of bands are just as good as, again, as free weight. So if you're asking me, what's different than it, it's the tool, it's the access, it's how you can maneuver in it, it's how a patient can safely use it. And as I was told, I'll give you one example. We were told by one of the naval people at the Naval Operating Base that they've been looking for a tool like this because most people that are injured cannot engage their core. They just don't. And with our system, if you hook it up from the hips down to the feet and you stand up, it is impossible to stand up without engaging your core. It forces people to do what they need to do to get stronger. And so again, there's a lot of momentum in spaces because this is will allow people to do things they haven't been able to do.
Correct, and I see it. So yeah, definitely think it'll be a great tool in that space. When when you start talking about the other space, when you're talking about athletics, and working with professional and college sports teams as well as gyms around America. When you sitting there talking to them, what is the benefit? What could it be used as?
So every sport, we have somebody that has bought the system, that is training with the system. So whether it be professional boxers, so boxers when they have it, and again when we can have the hands free. They can have their hands in their cuffs, but every movement they're doing is resisted. So when they're out there, the more that they can do it, the faster. It burns more calories, helps with weight loss. Because if you're in one of the fighting sports, wrestling, obviously weighing in, if you can burn 2 to 3 times more calories in the same amount of time, it's going to allow you to get down to that weight a lot quicker. But it also will allow you to have resistance in all planes. So now it can give you an advantage for moving. Plus, with the recent addition of another patented piece, which I don't have on me, will go around a boxer's headgear, but also the head. And with short resistant bands, you can hook them from the back of the vest to the back headpiece. And then when you straighten your head, you're constantly working your neck muscles. So then when you're bending and moving, you're building the muscles up. And if you're a fighter, you don't want your head actually flashing to the side. Your brain moving is what knocks you out, having boxed. It'll make your neck a lot stronger. And then you can turn it around. You can sit down, attach it to your thigh straps, and work the back of your neck. You can do this if you're in a wheelchair. That's the other thing. If somebody is a quadriplegic, they can put it on and still work. Even if it's their heads, all they can move, at least they can move something and they can make that muscle group as strong as they can. So that's boxing, UFC. There's been a lot of talk about a lot of the fighting sports. But then you go over to basketball. Being able to hook up the weighted bands from the back of the vest to the back of the heel, being able to do the weighted jump squats, but not having to be in one spot like the boards they make out there. You can run down the court. You can wear this while you're playing. Again, it's anytime you're adding resistance and you're able to do the movement, you're burning more calories, but you're building the muscles that you're using. And then and then you go to baseball. So even if I'll just show you with the handles, but if you were to grip a bat, every time you move all the way through the motion, you have resistance. So it can help with those muscles that you need. Same thing with golf. Attach it to the foot, and you're coming back with your backswing. I've got NFL players like yourself, ex-NFL players, and then recently one of the starting linebackers for the Minnesota Vikings has been using it for all of his speed training. He's been doing everything, taking videos of it. And so it's remarkable that every sport sees an advantage of how we can do it. Even swimmers, if they have this and they're not in the pool, you can use this system to do a breaststroke as you're walking and build the same muscles and not have to be in the water. So again, I think because of your body's the anchor, there's really no limit to what you can do. It's a lot about imagination and how to use the system, but there are a lot of advantages. And then once you add the knee sleeve and the forearm sleeve, now you can use your hands with everything, whether you're catching a ball or anything, and it's resisted. It's going to be a game changer for the athletic market.
Right. I think it's a great tool to have, especially if you're looking at, in a weight room, any weight room in America, college or professional, right? And you have, let's say, the big boys, the offensive, defensive linemen, and as a strength coach, you want to take those guys out on the field and do some drills other than weights. I think it's a great tool to have, to be able to take, the guys out there and just go on the field and do some drills individually, and everybody have on a actual vest, is a powerful tool.
I agree. And one other thing is I like lifting weights. I grew up in the weight room. There's something about clinking plates that I'll never not like. But go to a gym and go to a commercial gym, which most people don't have the luxury of having the facilities that we worked out in.
Right.
But you go to a gym and they're packed. So you're in there and you do a set and you do one full body part, then you move to the next. Well, imagine you get done with a bench press, you stand up and you just burn out your triceps right there. And then you could do burnout sets. So without having to carry plates or having to carry different dumbbells around, you could do that. And then you could go right into an immediate 15 squats, sit back down, do a bench press, get up, start burning out, do your I mean, and literally you would get a workout within 25 minutes, what most people can't get done in an hour and a half, still lifting the heavy weights because you still got, so I think it can be a tool for people that love the gym. I think it can be, it's the gym for people that don't want to go to the gym. It's a rehab tool for people trying to get back into normal condition, just to be able to do their, normal uh, daily activities. So again, the most impressive thing I see about it is we have professional NFL athletes, boxers, people of that caliber right now using it. And I've got disabled veterans that haven't been able to move in 5 months that were basically given up, that we got this system to, and it's changing their lives. And they think it's, a miracle, but at the end of the day, it's allowing them to actually have quality access to get their strength back. And if you can see what the government sends our veterans, it is a shame. And we're going to do something about it. But again, the usability and the fact that everybody can find a use for the equipment is very unique.
Yeah, man, I totally agree, man. And being in working with neuro orthopedic spine surgeons over the last 10 plus years, like, I mean, I think it's nothing more gratifying when you see someone, get better, from a product that you was selling, that you was carrying, and able to see the surgery happen. And 3 to 6 months, you see the person walking around normal, having a normal life, because, quality of life is a big thing, right?
Yeah,
When
that's
you
it.
get older.
And that's it. So I feel like medicine's found a way to keep us alive till we're 80 or 90. But what's the quality of life? Most
Correct.
people that when they're 60 or 65, everybody starts getting into the mentality of, oh man, I'm just getting old. I'm so old. And then what happens? Somebody falls and hurts themselves. And next thing you know, so they go to the rehab. Well, now grandma's not taking out the garbage. Grandma's not mowing her lawn because nobody wants her to fall. And the less grandma does, the weaker grandma gets. And it's out of love that people are taking care of them, but it is literally what is driving them to get weaker quicker. And so we want to have people not only be able to live, but live a functional, healthy, elite aging is what we called it, but to be able to get stronger through life. I mean, there are studies that show an 80-year-old person doing a 12-week strength training for 3 days a week saw the benefits 4 years later off of one 12-week training period. And so you're never too old, and literally you can get stronger. There are people that are in their 90s that are setting records for their age group. And again, and it's not just luck. It's not just genetics. I think, more science is coming out that it is strength training. Cardio is good. You want to be moving, but it is strength training and your muscle strength and keeping that is going to keep you up and age less quickly.
Right, definitely. And like you said, I think it slows down working out on a regular basis, right? Slows down the breakdown of your bones, right?
It
Because
does.
we all see that person that used to be, 6'3", right? And they 70, 80 years old, and now they look like they 6 foot tall. You're like, how they lose three inches?
Now you're telling my story, and I'm only 44. At least that's what my son says. He's 13 and 6'6", but that's a whole nother story. But no, exactly. And one thing is the system comes with 10 pounds of weighted bags. You can buy up another set where it's 5 pounds each, so it's 20 pounds. And anything over 20 pounds, there's a diminishing return. So again, you could go heavier. Military uses heavier, but then you're really wearing on the joints and certain things. But if a senior or anybody just wore the vest, put it on, and walked around 30 minutes, 3 or 4 days a week, they're going to help with their bone density. So you look at osteoporosis, men suffer in the L2 vertebra is where most men get osteoporosis. Well, if you wore a weighted vest, it specifically is one of the only things that can help with that, because you're putting extra load right on that vertebrae, but you're helping that bone density and structure. So again, even if you were just to do not even the banded weights, but you were just to put the weighted packs in and walk around to start, That's a great place to start. And then as you get in shape, I would always add the bands because you want to get the strength in, but it can help in a lot of different ways.
Right, definitely. So the application, I mean, we see it in the medical side, we see it on the athletic side. What are some other avenues and other industries that you think you'd be
So the military is huge,
right?
and we've been hearing across the board from the Navy, ships and subs. They said right now for them to get a workout, especially in a submarine, in the hallways, they'll have a couple of ellipticals and a row machine that you have to sign up for. There's no space inside of those. You don't see daylight for months. You can't carry a whole weight rack with you everywhere, nor do you want to be clinking metal in a submarine. And so there's limited space. Also, on top of aircraft carriers, I didn't know it, but when you have everybody out there, you still only have a couple feet apiece. So this would allow people in a smaller, confined area to be able to do a complete full body workout and be able to do it as an entire troop. So from the Navy to special forces, seeing how you can use this and add anything you can do to the core is going to help. In this, you can do core training in ways that are not available out there. You can do planks and have a dumbbell to pull through and push, but with the various connection points and the way you can move and go over, you can work your core in so many different ways, and it's all resistant movements. So it's good for special forces because core training is big. No matter if you're a paratrooper, a SEAL, Green Beret, they all need the core strength. And so, yeah, there's applications with that. There's also for law enforcement. So we've been told that the number one thing that they practice is drawing a gun, which comes from the hip and you come straight out. Well, even with our cuff sleeve, if you do that, or even just holding it from the hip and coming up and just practicing that move, they can have that resistance that over time that reaction is going to be quicker, and it could be a matter of life and death. And so there's just areas along the entire spectrum when it comes to military and police force. Then you've got the corporate wellness side. Corporate wellness has become a dirty word because people feel like, at least executives feel like they're paying for a program that nobody uses. So now they're dumping $50 in someone's paycheck, looking at them, knowing that they're not doing it. But people felt obligated to put that money in because they want to offer at least what everybody else is doing. Well, another area within a corporation that's a huge cost is the workers' comp. And so what we have here is we call it interventional health and workers' comp prevention. And it would replace corporate wellness. But we see it as, regardless if you're an office worker, if you're a healthcare worker, which has the second highest incidence of musculoskeletal workers' comp, a line worker, a construction worker, depending on what your job is, we can develop warm-up videos for people to do at the beginning of the shift. And you just make it part of your culture that they come in, everybody puts on their trainer. First 5 minutes, you go through whatever moves you need. You can do the back, you can do anything that you need. But unlike just stretching, you're pumping that blood through those muscles. You're getting them loose. And as an athlete, you never want to go on the floor cold. You never want to go on the field cold. You want to make sure that you're ready to go. And that's what this will do at work. So if we can reduce workers' comp by just a couple of incidents, it could be millions of dollars for an organization. And if the employees are used to using it at the beginning of every shift and they can take it anywhere they want to go, now they're more likely to use it as their corporate wellness tool because they can do it at home. They can throw it in their bag when they're traveling. You can do it in a hotel. It doesn't require anything but your own self. So again, there's just so many verticals that we can look at where there's a lot of functional application. And those are some of the big ones that we have a lot of momentum with some of the largest corporations in the world, as well as all the military branches. We have people that we're talking to at various levels within there too.
Yeah, man, it sounds like it's a great product. I'm excited to see it out in the market. When is it available for people out in the market?
So you can get it right now, and actually be a part of the podcast if you want to share. I gave you a link.
Yep.
I
Yep.
would suggest everybody go on there. The price right now is at a pre-launch price. So it's $379.99, but you can finance it as low as like $30 a month. The price will go up to $549 in the next few weeks. So if you're going to buy it, I would suggest, now's better than later. But everything is right now is available online. and the fully functioning website with all the memberships, the workouts. There'll be a lot more to that website. Will be up in a matter of 2 weeks. Right now, you can go there. It's got a lot of function, but we're building a lot of integrations in the system that people are going to love when it comes out in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, now so for my viewers, you can actually the link is up in the left hand corner of the screen. There's a QR code that you can scan and go directly to the website to check it out. And any questions that you have, you can go on there and you can leave a contact and leave a message, and we'll have someone get back to you.
Now, I'm just
So
hoping my Wolverines pick it up before the Nittany Lions were trying to
no,
get it
no,
there.
man.
But
We gonna pick that up before you guys pick it up, man. They should already picked it up. What are you talking about?
I know. Well, that's the deal. I'm telling you, get on it. We're looking at talking to the president of the University of Michigan, but same time, first one of the bullet. Hey,
Right,
I
right.
may have gone to Michigan, but whoever's smart enough to pick it up first, I'm ready to go. So we'll see, but we're pushing.
Hey, it would have been a good idea to see if you can get them in a almost like a old test mode to test it and check it out.
I'm sure that they've offered it, so we're on our way. But like I said, Penn State, Michigan, trying to get my guys an advantage, man. Any way we
Man, you definitely, man, because I'm tired of these people talking about the SEC.
can, right? I'm done with it.
I'm
And
tired
hey, I
of it.
think the Big Ten. I mean, I'm feeling Michigan's looking good, but I feel like we got some powerful teams coming this year. So looking
Right.
forward to the season, and hopefully we'll have a three-peat against Ohio State. At the end of the day,
We
Ohio
almost had a
State,
three-peat last
Michigan,
year.
Maine. What's that?
We almost had a three-peat last year. We almost had all three in that and close.
Yeah, it
Close. I
was.
mean, in my opinion, man, look, I mean, 4 teams, that don't even make sense,
Right.
right? It should be at least 8 to 10 teams in the playoff, and that's the only way you can get a true champion.
Right, because I mean, regardless of who the best four are, you're cutting out a conference. So, and as you see at the end of the year, it's when you peak. If you peak early, but you're not playing your best game, people come out and get you. Now, I thought Georgia looked beatable throughout the year at certain games, and then you look at that championship game, you're like, it was absurd. It wasn't even
Right,
fun to watch. So,
right.
I do. I think being able to and not having to take one team out because they have a one loss at the beginning of a season, or and the rest of their schedule was as tough as it can be. Even 2 losses sometimes. Like Alabama, as much as I don't want to talk about them, their schedule is always tough. At least they don't play. And I got to say, my alma mater playing Western Michigan, which all right, they're cool, but we always play we play MAC teams and things like that. Alabama's playing the best of the best, non-conference, whatever. They're one of the teams that are out there, which is one thing I wish Michigan would do, is get a tougher non-conference schedule. But again, I think that's just the way the Big Ten rolls. As far as some of those games, give the smaller schools a chance. But
Right. You know what? And a lot of them do it, man. And it's funny because, if I look at the season last year for us, Michigan is the only one that beat us.
yeah,
They the only one that you guys at the beginning up front, you guys beat us like physically.
yeah.
And Ohio State, we had them the whole game.
I thought
And
you guys had it the whole. I thought you had it the whole way.
the whole game, and we blew it, and I was there on the sideline. So we blew the game within a matter of 7 minutes. And we was up by like 20 points or
Yeah,
18 points. And next thing you know, turnover, touchdown, turnover, touchdown, turnover. I'm like, what just happened?
yeah. Oh, that's the worst feeling, especially when you have them on the ropes. I'll give you one. When I watching Michigan play Michigan State after losing, we were winning, and then the punter drops the ball and they return it for the touchdown. At the last play of the game, my son lost it. And I'm like, man, that's how sports go.
That's
It
how
was
it
a
goes.
teachable moment. Like if there's no, if you're within striking distance and it's not zeros on the clock. But I got to tell you, that one was a dagger to the heart, man. Those are the worst.
You got to keep pushing, right?
You do.
You
I
got to
agree.
keep pushing. So, Adam, I know we're closing up. So, tell me over the next 5 and 10 years, where do you see Caerus Strength?
So I think we're going to be a global company. I know we're going to be a global company. From everything we're doing we have the world's first engageable. So you'll hear people talk about a wearable, a watch, a ring. We have the first engageable. We've trademarked that term because we have the system that engages the human being at the core. We're going to have censored versions. We have a back brace version coming out that we should have CMS reimbursement codes in the next, say, 45 to 60 days, if not sooner. Everything's in the approval process right now. But from a delivery standpoint, I think that the innovation is going to continue. I think the sensors that we're integrating in here are going to be second to none. Then we're going to have a gamification. We have an informatics company. We'll be able to drive real results with data. And so I see us in the more people we get it on. Again, this is a global product. So we're hoping to have it on hundreds of millions of people. That is going to be, that's the goal. 5 to 10 years out, we are looking to be obviously on every continent. I mean, our patent filings are good globally. So I see us being a global player and one of the biggest companies in the world. And the reason being is we're going after we're helping the human being. What we're selling is actually healthy. And people always say, well, people are too lazy. I don't agree with that. I think if we can erase as many barriers as possible, people are going to do it. And I feel like the more people see their parents that can't take care of themselves and see their grandparents or people that they've now got to go take care of, they don't want to become indignant and have their children washing and bathing them. I think there's a whole new level of people being motivated, but they feel stupid. They don't know how to work out. They haven't been to a gym, so they're afraid to go in and look dumb. Well, with this, there's going to be training videos, how-tos. You can do it, and then once you get used to it, you can go out in public and feel comfortable, however you want to do it. But that's where I see Caerus in the next 5 to 10 years is a leader, not in the fitness space or just the medical space, but as one of the largest companies on the planet.
Definitely, man. I think you got a great product. I'm looking forward to seeing it, go to the heights, man, to the sky. The sky's the limit.
Literally.
Definitely.
And the sky might not be the limit, as we might find out next week. So
Right.
we'll see.
Let's hope it ain't. Let's hope it's somewhere in the stratosphere somewhere.
That's it.
I appreciate it, boss. Thanks for your time today. And again, my viewers, you can go up to the right-hand corner. You can see the QR code. Scan the QR code if you have any questions. If not, you can always email me at jboyd@nextpod.com. All right, buddy. Appreciate it.
Thanks, James. Appreciate it and have me on. And pick yours up today before there's a back order because these things are going fast. So make sure you order.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
All right, buddy. Thanks.
Thanks.
See ya.
Well, thanks, man. We have Adam. Adam was on. It was a great show with Adam, and we're looking forward to seeing the product out there. So